guys, how's it going? Eli here, back with another video where today we're going to be having a conversation about my top 5 long-term investments for Pokemon currently as we're approaching the holiday season of 2022. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. As always, getting out of the way, we are doing weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed, leave a like, and comment down below on any of the pre-recorded videos we post each and every week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, of course, we're going to be giving away 12 Lost Origin booster packs to each of our winners, and we're going to continue to do so each and every week until we have a new set that's going to be coming out. So really excited to be doing that. And then lastly as well, if you don't know, we have a booster box break that we're going to be doing for Lost Origin. So all you have to do to enter is go to our break page on our website. We have literally one booster box left remaining worth of packs. So we're going to be opening 350 or 400 so far. So if you want to be involved in that, make sure to check it out on our break page as we offer great prices on Pokemon break packs. Now, let's jump into today's video. So obviously yesterday's video, I was very much talking about like the key things you kind of need to consider and really remember and understand when it comes to investing in Pokemon. And of course, the prior video before that was my update video where I was basically like, all right, guys, so here's kind of the situation, or 2 videos prior, I should say, on the end of August, things to invest in. And that's just a repeating list of like, all right, this is what I want to change for this month compared to next month compared to next month. However, I thought it'd be a fun idea, just because it kind of correlates to yesterday's video, is now that times are changing, I'm looking at things from a lot more of a long-term investment approach rather than a short-term. I'm going to give you guys my top 5 picks for long-term investment. And of course, you know, this as well is going to develop over time as I see more opportunities arise, because, you know, when this video is being posted, there's going to be certain prices that are going to be, you know, valuable in my mind. And we're going to, of course, go through and explain as to why I like the pricing on some of these items right now compared to some other items, and why I think they're going to do really well in the long term, especially for what you're going to be able to enter in on. But number 5, I mean, you're going to practically see this on just about any single list that I have outside of certain exclusive lists for top 5 product. But RKSB figure collection, man, I'm going to keep pumping it. I'm going to keep saying it's an amazing box. I'm going to keep saying that it's got a great pack selection. If you haven't seen my videos before, go back and take a look when I talk about the product. You know, the Galar Pals box is basically what I like to compare it to. It's a Rebel Clash era box. It was, or is, the #1 performing sealed product of the Sword and Shield era. I think this one is going to blow it out of the water, and I do think it's going to be a really good long-term perspective. And I want to preface this too on the start of the video. You know, I understand that a lot of people have, you know, concerns about, hey, like, I want to be able to get in on elite trainer boxes or booster box cases for certain product, but it's super expensive, or hey, I don't have a ton of storage to be able to store these kind of things. Like I totally understand these concerns. And so, you know, with that, I feel like the RKSB figure collection, since you're still able to go pick them up at $25 a pop, you're able to get in at a really good entry point for these products. Of course, if you can get them for cheaper, then that's even better. But yeah, the opportunity for what you're able to get in at, I think, is an awesome price. And you know, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to store for how much you're spending when you're talking about dollars spent per, you know, square foot, I guess, used when comparing to other Pokemon product. But I think it is still a good piece to be able to diversify yourself into if you are looking for some sort of a specialty figure collection with a great pack selection that could yield you a great return in the long run. But next up, obviously, this was also part of the list, and I think it's a good update to actually talk about this because the Evolving Skies ETB's prices are dropping, and it is really nice to see that. Obviously, I, you know, discussed with you guys before. I'm like, all right, we're waiting for drops, and here we are. $44 is what you're able to get on TCG Player. Wouldn't be surprised if you can go find that cheaper somewhere in the range of $40 to $35. I know for a lot of people, including myself, obviously prices on MSRP have gone up in the big box retailers, so maybe it is cheaper to get it here online. But you know, I think this is a fantastic product. You know what my stance is on elite trainer boxes, and I'll get into a little bit of a rant on that in a second here, just so that I can give a little bit of an explanation. But outside of the aspect of it being an ETB, I think what makes it great is it's part of the best, you know, set of the Sword and Shield era block, and I think it's got an absolutely gorgeous design in regards to the evolutions. Of course, you can get its counterpart, but I think this is the cheaper one of the two, so this is the one that I personally picked. And for those of you that don't know as well, Costco is doing a specialty deal where you can go pick it up for $38 and then a tin for free to come with it. So absolutely amazing deal if you do have a Costco membership. But at the end of the day, even if you don't, this is still an item that I think is highly worth picking up. It's going to be a really good long-term hold as a high demand set, and then also an extremely collectible hold in regards to Elite Trainer boxes. But yeah. And then the next item that we're going to be picking up, and of course this is in no particular order as well, I want people to understand that, this is just kind of my top 5 picks of items that I currently see right now that I've more or less been, preaching a lot about, and have also mentioned many times before when I have people ask questions, what would you invest in, this, and this? And so you're going to see a little bit of theme, and let's see if you can spot it near the end of the video, but the Shining Fates Elite Trainer box. So in regards to the Shining Fates Elite Trainer box, what is there to say? It's not Hidden Fates, but it's a shiny set, and it's Sword and Shield shiny set, and you're able to pick it up literally on here. Here we go and click. I don't know why I have the TCG Direct filter on, but $47, which is $3 below MSRP. You're probably able to pick it up at some other places for much cheaper, in the range of $45 or lower than that. Either way, this is a product that, of course, is a specialty item, and this is what I'm kind of gonna go into with you guys a little bit without going on a full rant. But historically speaking, I've mentioned this before, I'll mention it many times again, ETBs tend to do better than booster boxes long term. Obviously, it's a completely different perspective when you're talking short term, but long term it does better because there is a large amount of reprints for booster boxes compared to Elite Trainer boxes. And I know I've had people ask me, Eli, well, we've had a lot of ETB reprints recently. Does that make you fearful and change your stance? Not at all, because the reason why is a lot of the ETBs that got reprinted were either extremely high demand ETBs, or they were ones that needed reprints because they had their waves cut off. I remember back when I first got my distributors page, this was back during the time of Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage was coming out, and I wasn't even able to get my hands on ETBs because there was such a low supply of them for Vivid Voltage, and the prices on them obviously absolutely shot up, skyrocketed, same with Darkness Ablaze. And so you saw prices on Darkness go to 140, Vivid Voltage go to 100, and so the pricing on it was extremely high, but that was because supply chains were, obviously causing these prices to be overinflated, so we needed that reprint to kind of drop the prices down on them. Still, I think long-term these ETBs are going to, of course, be a better opportunity than these booster boxes, and that's one of the reasons why is just once again going back to reprints. And so even with, of course, the adjustment of these reprints, I take it more as just another long-term opportunity. And so with Shining Fates obviously getting its reprint because it had its initial wave, didn't really have a follow-up reprint wave for the ETBs, it got its reprint wave, prices are down, and for the first time below MSRP, I mean, historically they were, I think cheapest you could find it was $60 to $70, and then of course they were climbing for a little bit there. But the overall value of the ETB, I think will do really well because historically speaking, specialty ETBs are ones that yield a great return in regards to when comparing to other forms of Elite Trainer boxes. Obviously, there is going to be variables that play into that in regards to what is the overall supply run, what is the print run of certain ETB sets. Of course, you take a look at a item like Team Up, for example. Obviously, Team Up has one of the lowest print runs in the Sun and Moon era, and so it's historically performed better. And then you take a look at Evolution's ETBs and how they got a reprint, and so prices on it went down. So there's a lot of different variables you have to obviously consider, but you take a one for one and you look at a lot of these specialty, ETBs, they tend to far outperform their counterparts in regards to this. The special ETBs, obviously Hidden Fates before it got its reprint was pushing, $350, which for a set that had only been out for it was a year and a half when it was absolutely skyrocketing up. You've got your Generations ETB that's historically done well. You've got your Shining Legends ETB. You've got a lot of ETBs that you can kind of pick and choose from that have done historically extremely well. And so I would say for myself, being able to come in and scoop one of these specialty ETPs at a really good price is something that I think is a really good opportunity that you don't really want to be able to pass up on. And especially considering when you take sets like Shining Legends, for example, right? Shining Legends was a set that when it first came out, it was absolutely in the gutter. Like, people were, not the biggest fan of the set. It was a set that came out and you were able to go in the store, pick it up for $50, and a lot of places were kind of fire selling it for $40 to $35. They just couldn't sell Shining Legends. And of course, now if we go and take a look and see what a Shining Legends ETB is looking at, currently as we speak, it is now going for around $325. I don't know about you, but if I were to say to myself, if I got in at around $35-$40 for an item like this, you're getting at around an 8 to 9x return. And this item came, I want to say roughly 2017, 2018. So your rate of return for the time in which you're being able to hold it. Now, of course, pandemic and other variables played a factor into that. But nonetheless, it was an item that you were able to get in at a really affordable price because people were not the biggest fan of. And, you got to take these variables into consideration where nostalgia is going to play a factor. People are going to look back and realize this was a lot better of a set than I thought it was initially. I think that's kind of what's going to be with Shining Fates and our next set that we're going to be talking about, because a lot of people like to compare this set to Hidden Fates, and although it's nowhere near Hidden Fates, from a video game perspective, Sword and Shield era, the video games themselves, like Sword and Shield, they were the #1 grossing games of all time, thanks to COVID and everyone being stuck inside. And so for that reason, there's going to be a lot of kids that played during this time that are going to have that nostalgia, and Shining Fates is going to be tied to that. And Shining Fates, obviously, is a set that includes all of the Shiny Galar decks. And the most powerful thing that you can have in a set is going to be nostalgia. And so that's going to add a ton of value, in my personal opinion, to the set long term, which is why I absolutely love it for one of my long-term pickups. Next one is Pokemon Go Elite Trainer Box. It's going to follow a very similar theme. Obviously, it's not really going to focus on the same concept of nostalgia in the same way that the Galar, set of Shining Fates is going to, but it's going to still play on the theme of kind of what Shining Legends was. Shining Legends was a set that a lot of people felt was underwhelming because it didn't really have a ton of shiny Pokemon that people really loved, and it had, very minimal things that you can get that were good pulls, and a lot of people were not a big fan of the artworks out the gate. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen with Pokemon Go. Obviously, you look at the main card that can be pulled in the set. It's the Mewtwo V alternate art. I know some people love it, some people hate it. There's been a huge, of course, discussion and debate in regards to that. But then if you take that out of the way, you say to yourself, all right, well, what else is in the set? You've got the Shiny 3 Radiant starters. You've got a V-Star Mewtwo, both the Gold and the Rainbow, and you've got a Dragonite V-Star. Other than that, not much to love, but nonetheless, you also have to say to yourself, okay, well, there's not much to love with this set, but the things that there are to love are, huge hitter cards that a lot of people will love long-term, whether you love the design or not. It's eventually going to grow on you because that's just kind of how it works with nostalgia. So Shining Legends was very much the kind of same thing. You had the Mewtwo, you had the Shining Mew, you had your general shinies, and then you had, of course, the Rainbow, Mewtwo. Obviously, some people like Entei, some people like Zoroark. As far as it goes with the shinies, people didn't really care about a lot of these shinies at the time. The only 2 or 3 that people realistically cared about was the Rayquaza, the Mew, and then the Jirachi. But I mean, based on what you're seeing with value, it was really just the Mew and the Rayquaza that were the 2 biggest ones, and everything was kind of far apart from itself. So the overall value that I would say that you're going to be able to get with these Pokemon Go Elite Trainer boxes, especially considering you can get them for that $40 price point or lower, I think it's going to be really good long term, because I have a feeling that with just the set itself, obviously comparing it one-to-one with Shining Legends, they're very, very similar sets in their own regards. And so I think you're going to see a ton of value, and people are going to look back on this set and they're going to be like, it's got Shiny 3 starters. And so far, it's the only set that's ever had a shiny Venusaur. So shout out to my Venusaur fans. You're going to want to collect that card, or you're going to want to open for that card long term. Second set that's ever had a shiny Radiant Blastoise or shiny Blastoise. Charizard, of course, it's a Charizard card. Charizard fans are going to want to collect it regardless. And then it has a Mewtwo and a Dragonite, which are some other fan favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. So, it's really kind of hunkering down on, hey, we might not have a ton of things to love here, but the things that you're here to love are high demand cards, and I think they're going to do well in the long term. Obviously, short term, people are not the biggest fan of the set, but that's kind of what makes it a great set. And, you know, I want to kind of give a little bit of a runner-up to one of the other products I think will also do extremely well. That's going to tie into this. Obviously, if you can get it for its MSRP price of around $40 or lower, that's kind of what I want. But the premium collection with the Radiant Eevee, I think, is going to be an also really good box that I highly recommend you also look into picking up. The only reason why I kind of listed the ETB over it is just because you're able to get it $10 under wholesale, or sorry, under MSRP, $5 above wholesale, versus with the Eevee playmat, you're paying $5 above the current MSRP price, and that's going to play a factor into whether I like it or not. But it's still a good one to pick up, but obviously you're going to have to kind of find it at its better price. Last but not least, and then I'm going to make one final point after, but it is actually the Celebrations Mini Tin display. So if you haven't already guessed it, in regards to the general theme of 3 out of 5 of these, it's either 1, they're high demand packs, or 2, it's specialty products. That's kind of where we're looking for. And Celebrations 25th Anniversary Collection, what can you really say about this set? But what can you really say about this item? I mean, for those of you who have never owned this item before, I want you to own it as a case. I don't want you to own it individually, and that's going to add a ton of value to it, because the absolute artwork and display on an item like this is gorgeous. You take a look at this front. I mean, we can try and see if we can pull up the back side of it, just so that we can have an image to kind of reference on what there is to love about it. All right, here we go, is what the back of it looks like. Just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous artwork design. I think there's so much to be loved just in the vibrant color of the set, and it really does show the celebration of the 25th anniversary. And so that's what I absolutely love about it. It comes with Celebrations packs, super fun packs to open, super fun packs to collect. And not to mention too, if you look at it from its overall trending chart perspective, it's been one of the few products of Celebrations that more or less has either been on a downtrend long term, or has kind of seen a slow growth in regards to its value. Obviously, it hit a low point of around $85 after it hit its final print, and then went up all the way to around $127, but now it's dropped about another, what, 17 bucks? So the value of this item, while you're able to get it on a little bit of a downswing, I think is, you know, totally worth it in my personal opinion. It says 117 right here, but shout out once again to Nostalgianomics. Kind of funny seeing him selling it for 110. You know, I think this is going to be an item that it hits everything that I want. You know, it's at a good price point right now for where it's been historically. It's in one of those specialty premium sets that's going to add value. And then I think it has a really cool artwork and special unique design that's going to also add a huge collectible value to it. And so for that reason, I'm a huge fan of it long term, and I think it's going to do really well. I think Celebrations is going to do extremely well long term. For those of you who've been listening, Celebrations, I've talked about it a lot as being one of my favorite things to invest in long term. Obviously, you know, a lot of the prices of Celebrations products have gone up, and so for that reason it's harder for me to kind of have those discussions, because most of it is outpriced in points that I wouldn't recommend picking up for. But I think this is one of those items where, you know, I'm going to have to say the value is there. It is completely worth it to pick it up, you know, at its overall current price point. And I mean too, one thing to also take into consideration with this, you know, it's obviously featuring one of the Celebrations mini tins with a total of 8, because there's each one has its different art designs. And, you know, it's going to come with 2 booster packs, and it's going to come with 1 additional pack. So I think you're going to still get some good value out of it overall. But as a whole, like I said before, we're not looking necessarily on the inside value of the set piece itself. We're looking more at the value of, hey, what is the artwork design that we're going to be seeing on the front side of this, because that's what's ultimately most important when you're taking into consideration. But still, if you take the content into consideration, you're getting an extremely good deal when you're buying this as a case, in my personal opinion. But last point I kind of want to make, I know that there was, you know, not any booster boxes that were made on this list, and I'm going to give my explaining as to why, because I do typically like to add booster boxes on the list from a long-term perspective, because there are good opportunities a lot of the times. But I would like to point out that I'm going to save that for an actual later video, I've been kind of bracing for a large reprint that we're more than likely going to see coming into this holiday season. Obviously, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words on it, but there has not been really good opportunities for long-term investments from a booster box perspective that I feel comfortable wanting to enter in on, especially one that I absolutely love or desire. And I think Silver Tempest could potentially change that, and any sort of other reprints that could potentially come within the next couple of months is going to change that. But I'm talking right now. I'm talking, here's the opportunities that I see. Here's the opportunities that I love. I know, of course, ETBs for a lot of people, it takes up more room than you would like. And so booster boxes are kind of your preferred pick. But I would honestly say that I can't really give you my best perspective right now on what a good booster box is, because I just would be just saying, here's a good booster box as to why. Obviously, if you listen to my content, if you show up to our live streams, you ask me questions, do you like this booster box? If you do, what price do you want to, what price should I get in on it? I'll always give you my opinion. And if you look at my previous videos, I can, you can see my kind of history of what booster boxes I've historically liked getting in on and at which prices. But as far as it stands right now, we're playing the game of what is currently going on in the market as of early September 2022. So that's just kind of what my strategy is right now of items that I'm going to be picking up for the long term. Of course, of these are my top 5 favorite that I really love, and I think will do extremely well, and by long term, I mean within a 5-year plus period. But as far as it goes, that is all I have for today's video. If you want to enter in to our weekly giveaways, as always, leave a like, comment down below, and be subscribed on any of the pre-recorded content we post each and every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can comment and like on each video, so it allows you for multiple entries. And then since we have 3 winners, it's multiple opportunities to win. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you guys on Friday. Peace.